So just welcome to this new month. It's exciting. We are building on something. I hope you can see it. My day was a what? It was an easy, it was a busy, really busy day, but easy. So I can't quite find one car that would do that. I'd probably say, um, I would probably say a Suzuki Swift, a yellow one. Very brilliant, very bright, but a good day all the same. It is a pleasure. Um, okay. I have gone somewhere. I'm not sure where I've gone. Let me stop sharing my screen for 1 second so that I can silence my music. And all right, I was trying to figure out where my music was playing. Okay. So this is an amazing new month. We're starting a new topic. I hope the last few have been very applicable and that you have grown. Now we're moving to systems. So we've done a lot about the founder. We did that in the first quarter. We talked about the founder. Then we spent a good chunk of time talking about marketing. Then we have come back and aligned marketing to our finances, which was last month. And now we're looking at systems because what we're trying to do is build once and use repeatedly so that then we can scale, our teams can begin to do more work. So this is the beginning of the Systems That Scale series. This series will help each and every one of us think. Now, we're all at different stages in our businesses. Some of us are just at the point of thinking about it. Others are already started. And what this series will hopefully do is give, for those who are starting, help you set up your systems in advance. And for those who are already building, to continue their systems. So why does this whole conversation of systems that scale matter? And it's very simple. Many of us feel as though, let me remove that chime. Many of us are in spaces where we feel as though we are constantly looking for work, we are constantly looking for opportunities, we are constantly looking for um, how to make things function. We are constantly on the move. And all this stuff we're trying to do, we have it in our heads. And then we get teams, and our teams are unable to pick up and go beyond us because everything is in our heads. Now, that's something I think all of us have grappled with, and I think it is time that we actually um, moved out of there. So we are inconsistent. We think we need more sales, but the reality is maybe we don't need more sales. We need a process that moves everything from our minds, our brains, into a place where other people can see and help us with. So when we look at it in that sense, then what we're looking to do is we're looking to ensure that everything we are doing can not only be documented, but can also be done by somebody else. So we have to have an intentional process of moving our customers from curiosity to commitment, but we also have to have an intentional way of moving everything we have from out of our minds, right? So we feel as though we're always looking for customers, but really, if we had more efficient systems of turning them, converting the leads, then it will be different. Why? We cannot consistently rely on memory because we forget. Different phases of our lives have different impacts on our memories. Ladies, you know about baby brain. When you're expectant, you forget more than half the stuff. When we're in the middle of our cycle, another half the stuff go. Gentlemen, you know that as everything piles up, a day comes where you can't remember everything. So what develops is gaps, and these gaps will indeed affect revenue. They will affect our capacity to close on clients, to close potential leads. So that affects our customer confidence and also our revenue. And then it affects our ability as founders to grow effectively. Now, what we want to be doing is, even as I start as an individual, I want to be able to hire somebody. One of the most profound things that has happened in my life in the last year, actually, one of the young men in our youth fellowship began a smoky cart. So Kenyan didn't know a smoky cart. It's so for my international participants, it's like an ice cream cart, like maybe half of it. The bottom part is steel, usually painted white. The top part has a window display underneath, and then at the bottom of the window display, there's a metal of steel, a piece of steel, and then beneath there is a jiko. A jiko is one of our. It's an it's a charcoal burner, it's a charcoal cooker. So it's in there. There's water, so you're keeping your stuff warm. In that display, you have eggs, you have smokies. Smokies are a kind of sausage, a lower price sausage. Sometimes they have kebabs, sometimes they have viazi karai. So viazi karai is potatoes that are dipped in, usually it's gram flour that's a bit flavored. And then we have what else? Chapatis. And then there's kachumbari. Kachumbari is onions and tomatoes. I think in South Africa you call it chakalaka. So you have all that in one station, and then different people want different things. Some people want smoky pasua, so that will be a smoky. They'll cut it open and put the kachumbari in as your salad. Some will just take the egg the same way. Some will have the smoky wrapped in a chapati. I mean, there are multiple ways that we can do it. So this young man began his business last year, and we're trying to get him to figure out his numbers. And today, short version of the story, I'll keep telling it as we go along. Today, he has one employee and he's going to college. How did that happen? He began to track all conversations, all promises he made. When the client says, I'll come tomorrow, he began following them. He developed a system, number one, of understanding what his customers need, how to meet the need, and how to keep his customers engaged. What he did was identify his small gaps and begin to build to close those gaps, which is really what I want us to look at this month. And what is he doing? He is managing leads. And lead management is about organization and stewardship. What do I mean by stewardship? Somebody has spoken to you, they are interested, they want to be part of the community, they want to buy something from you, and you actually take the time to get back to them. That is lead management. Many times we have inquiries, but we don't close them completely. And please remember that every inquiry is an opportunity that deserves your intentional and quick attention. I don't say immediate because sometimes maybe when the lead comes, you are in the middle of handling something else, but as quickly as you can, we need to come back and respond to those needs. Because when we consistently convert leads into customers, we do it best when we have systems, not just good luck. And many of us are like, oh, if we do it better, is there a system of managing your leads? So that's what we're looking at as the beginning of our conversation about systems. So let's define a few things. A lead is a person or organization who has shown interest in your product or service, but has not yet bought. So you went to a trade fair, you got all these contacts, guys are like, come in 1 week, come in 2 weeks. I love your product. I'd like to try it. I don't have money now. Did you call all those people? You ran a campaign, an ad on a social media site, and people said, I'm interested, tell me more. Did you respond to them, and how quickly did you respond to them? Or you did you did a partnership with somebody, you got all these contacts at the gate. Did you get back and say thank you to people and tell them what the next activity is? So a lead is that person, it's that organization that shows interest. So they'll sign up for something somewhere, they will be part of a community. Now, lead management is how we intentionally capture, organize, track, and follow up all these potential customers until we have a firm decision for them. Decision number one, which is our preferred decision, is the buy. Number two is, I'm sorry, at this time, I will not proceed. Those are the two ends to our lead. The third one could be, give me more time. But the one we really want to be able to come to is that they become our customers. We move them from potential to actual. So we do that by lead management. And really, a follow up is a very planned, intentional interaction that now guides every potential customer closer to making an informed buying decision. So therefore, the pipeline is the stages through which a lead progresses from first contact to becoming a customer. So let me pause here and ask a question. How many of us actually have a pipeline? Let me see by putting a hands up in the chat section. How many of us actually have a pipeline? Whether just thought through, you have thought about it. Okay, so if you have thought about it, put a TA. If you have one, put your hand up. I hope that makes sense. If you have been thinking about developing leads and you haven't yet done it, put a TA. Excellent. I can see that response is coming. If you have actually done it, excellent. So we have all thought about it. Excellent. Terence, we shall bring you onto the conversation shortly just to hear what it is that how you did your leads, but I'll call you up in a very short bit. So pipelines are important because it is something we can look at and actually see. Hey, yes, I'll speak in Kiswahili, then interpret. Tuko wapi? Where are we? Right? Sometimes our teams are like, yeah, we're trying to close, but we don't have a dashboard we can look at, or we don't have a system. So it is either in their heads, they remember the day we remind them. And I used to do that a lot with one of my bosses. I'll be told, follow up so and so, so and so, so and so. And that's before I learned to write everything down. So now, after I'd learned to write everything down, then I would turn them into daily tasks. So when she asks, I do have a genuine answer. So those are the things we're looking at. All right. Conversion is the process through which a lead becomes a customer. Conversion is like the very end. When they say, okay, send me the invoice, and they pay. So for some of us, the process actually goes straight through, it goes it's a very straight process. Some of us interact with people in the process. Some of us interact with websites. Some of us, the salesperson that we are talking to, is actually on social media. The point is, whichever platform you are using, it is important to ensure that you have a secured process. So let me say, if you're a physical shop, then your lead generation process will be different from somebody with a full online store. And the thing we must all understand is each of us will have a different process. So in that space of different process, we will have different outcomes, but the intention is to have a fully defined process. So where do we go from here? We must understand that there are some foundational things we must remember as we think through our processes. Number one, every sale begins with a lead. We invest effort in creating visibility, but not as much effort in managing what happens after a response. Say I go on a TikTok live and I say I have an event and somebody comes into my DMs and they're asking about the event. How quickly do I respond to that? Right? Because marketing gets us the attention, but the attention alone is not a revenue generator. The attention is what gets us to the point of interest and people expressing the same. So revenue comes when we nurture the interest until customers have the confidence to buy. So I could be in affiliate marketing as long as everybody around me is still thinking, maybe, I have not yet converted. However, every time I talk to a person, that is a lead. I should be able to understand buyer behavior. I should be able to understand my customer journey and know what are the steps I must take them through to purchase. But it all starts with a lead. So then we ask ourselves, what is the source of our leads? It begins at the moment the person expresses interest, not when they're ready to buy. Remember, people buy after 7 to 10 touches, depending on how it goes. Online, the touches usually are minimal. In person, they're about 5 to 7. So from the first day you meet me, do you put me in your CRM, your customer relationship management system? And it could even be a notebook, dear people. Do you put me in that log with all my contacts and what I'm looking for and what my preferences are? Or do you leave me hanging? Because if we wait until the customer is ready, it is often possible that somebody else will snag our sale. So we must be very, very intentional. We must be willing to ensure that we have a process that helps every genuine opportunity move naturally towards a point of decision. The key thing is we want to encourage our potential customers to pick us. So remember, we talked about understanding your customer, having their avatar, knowing what touches them, where they want to, it hurts the most, where they want to grow, what they want to do, all those things, right? That helps you draw up your process, but it always begins with a lead. 2, is not a strategy. I know we have people with photographic memory, but every day has its priorities. I remember one of the projects I worked at the beginning, I was in such good shape. I would remember we're running like 5 classes. I knew where every class was. I could, if you ask me, where's Selena, I'll tell you which class Selena is in. I could even tell more or less how often they have been in class because I was hands-on and doing everything. However, as we have progressed into the school and my work has increased, we have actually had to design programs to bring in faculty. And now we have a register because now we have a standard of you can miss a maximum of 5 classes. So anybody who misses more than 5 classes does not graduate. We also need to track fees, right? So things that I would naturally do alone because now I have faculty who support the project, they have to take on different parts of the project to keep the customers intact and in place. What happens is then I moved to doing the admin and onboarding customers, which means from the point they say I'm interested, it's my responsibility to give them all the information, all the links, answer the questions, confirm their payments, onboard them in the groups, and make sure everybody's happy. Once that is done, somebody else takes over to maintain and ensure they stay in class, they stay engaged, they participate, we know who's in class. Because after you have closed the lead, you must now keep your customer engaged and needed. What has changed for us? Growth. Growth has significantly changed everything. Now, as inquiries increase, memory becomes less reliable. So now we have a system where when somebody has an inquiry, we're like, please fill this form. What does the form do? It allows us to know everybody who's interested and we can follow up because we get a phone number, we get an email, right? So it stops us from forgetting. It enables us to do effective follow-ups because I can tell my team members, here's the link, go to that, the back end of that form. These are the people we need to call. We divide it up. It allows us to stop forgetting opportunities. It allows us to not to miss follow-ups, not to forget contacts, send out quotations on time, and follow up so that our leads do not quietly disappear because of no support system. A support system as a founder is so critical. Absolutely critical. Apologies for that typo. So we are not asking you not to remember, but we're asking you as a founder not to be the sole custodian of everything. You see, a system can be as simple as a book. I've seen some of the smaller shops we have worked with where every day, one of the chemists close to us, when they started, every day they were writing in a book. Then over time, they were able to get a point of sale. They still have that book which tracks those of us who pick on credit, those who have called in and ordered, and they track there so that at the end of the day before they close, they key in all the information so they know their daily sales. All right. So whether it's a notebook, a spreadsheet, a CRM, or any other simple tool, information should live within the business, not only within the founder. Now, for many of us, that sometimes is a tricky thing because we want to be the ones everybody talks to. So you have to find a way to make it work. I know sometimes, like when you look at the salon sector, the owner has to be the custodian of everything just because of how some of those sectors work. But businesses become more resilient when information and knowledge is documented, not just remembered. So, how do you move from just remembrance as a business owner to documentation? You have to follow up. And when we follow up, we need to leave notes, right? So many of us don't want to appear pushy or desperate, but we need the sale. So we are sitting there waiting for people to say, oh, they have seen, they will come back. And I've seen many times this, we had 300 leads and nobody bought. The question is, of those 300 people who gave us their numbers, sent us messages, did we respond to each and every one of them? Why is that important? We have to overcome the thought that genuine interest will naturally lead to a purchase. Maybe you just think it's cool. And you see, there are so many other things and distractions and interruptions that our customers have that may make them forget to respond. I remember when I was buying some product one day, I made the order and then I got busy with work. So at 6 o'clock, somebody WhatsApps me and says, did you finalize your order? I'm like, hey, I am sorry. So now I went back to reorganize myself, made the payment. So I got my product later than I wanted to, but it's because work called. So I responded to work. So if I can have that hiccup, imagine your customers. So we have to understand that follow up is key and find mechanisms. So what we're doing when we follow up is helping people continue a conversation they already chose to begin. How did they choose? They're like, oh, tell me more about your product. Or you put up an ad, they signed up, they gave you a contact. You see, we want to be professional. We also want to ensure our customers understand that what we promised is legit, for real, will deliver, that inquiries are valued, and the relationships we are building with them are worth nurturing. How many of us have gone for trade fairs? Day one, you make a lot of contacts. You never reach out to people after that. Before Safaricom began hiding people's numbers, when you'd get the full details of who has bought from you, it used to be very easy to write back to people and say, thank you so much for purchasing. We're available. You could run a Christmas offer by going back to everybody you've sold from. So then it's important to follow up because then you're also able to build your own database. And from that database, you are able to not just connect with people, but expand your network. So follow up is key. Imagine going for a major conference, getting all these contacts and never talking to those people again. Finally, simplicity assists consistency or is equal to consistency. The best lead management system is the one that you will use consistently. So if it is a spreadsheet, if it's on the Google Workspace that everybody inputs to every day, that's fine. If it is a notebook with every inquiry and people will write in every day as opposed to the CRM that takes longer to update, that is your starting line. Because many of us are teaching our teams lead management from scratch, and we may not have the cash to get bigger CRMs, why don't we just work with what we have? I know some organizations who have this massive, so I mean, they have an Excel spreadsheet that everybody feeds into. Everyone has line of sight of their page. CEO can see everything. So you can see daily targets, weekly targets, monthly targets, and quarterly and annual targets. And you, as the person running those targets, there is a metric inside where, as you get closer to your target, it goes from red to green. So then you're able to track. That helps them because they are looking at doing at least every person 20 leads a day for the nature of their work. But who are the people who came and asked for what? Have you gone to a shop and asked for something? They say, I will get it, and they never do. Back to the chemist in my locality, you go, you ask for medication, it is short, there is a notebook where they write. So at the end of the day, they have made a note of Chesubere asked for this medication. We don't have it. So then there's a list of what they don't have. End of day, they call their suppliers, they make their orders, they get the delivery tomorrow. I know I can pick it in 24 hours. Why? They're tracking daily to be consistent with their product. How are you doing that? Because you'd rather have a notebook or a spreadsheet that people do daily, catch up on daily, than some expensive software that people either cannot understand or cannot be bothered to fill. So if you must go the software way, ensure that you onboard your teams properly. All right. So this is a very practical tool, very simple. The most basic lead tracker. It's absolutely basic. This you can turn into a spreadsheet. So you have the name of the person, and the thing you really want to do is identify who they are. All right. So the name could be Chesubire. Organization, you could put African MSME Collective if I come in as a collective, or maybe I didn't give you my company name because I'm buying personal products. So there you could now have the definition of what I'm looking at, what I said I liked. All right. And then contact details. Usually it will be a phone number and an email, or some people would just want to collect phone numbers because WhatsApp is your prime mode of communication. However, it's always good to have emails if people have emails, but it depends on your product. Source, where did this contact come from? Was it the trade fair you had over the weekend? Was it the market stand you did on Wednesday? Was it the ad you were running on whichever platform? Where did this lead come from? You want to be able to track that. You also want to know exactly what they're interested in. So let me use my plug for beauty products. It could be a cleanser, a toner, it could be shea butter lotion, a body butter. Ask, make a note of the product the person wants. How does this help? The next time I call and you're not in the office, the your staff member can go back to a place and say, yes, you had spoken with Jane about buying the shea butter cleanser. Are you still interested in that, or is it something else? What does for your client is that it makes me know my questions are taken seriously and I'm important to this particular ecosystem. And then, of course, note the date of first contact and keep a timeline. So let's say we talked first on May 1st, and then again on June 15th, and then on July 31st, and I bought on August 22nd. You can tell my decision-making timeline. So then you know that Chesubire takes 4 months, 3 to 4 months to make a decision. And Julie takes 12 hours to make her decision. So you're able to track both of us. You also hear track what your next action is. So yes, we talked to her today. She was still interested in the cleanser. Says we call her on the 15th. Make a note, put a reminder on your calendar to call on the 15th. So what this kind of documentation helps you do, it helps you prompt yourself and your teams. So you have a definite follow-up date. You have a definite calendar notification to call Chesubire on the 15th of July. And what I would do in those things, I'd call Chesubire on July 15th, call Chesubire. In the notes section on my calendar, I will make a note of what we're discussing so that when I call, I have a point of reference. So if I'm doing it digitally, that's fine. If I'm not, I have the book in front of me and we have the notes of what we're discussing. And then you also give me a status. So am I a new client? Have I been contacted? Has a proposal or quotation been sent? Are we negotiating? Did we sell? Did we lose the customer? If we lost the customer, this allows us to see At what point did we lose the customer? How often or at what point in the customer journey do we see the drop-offs and then begin to investigate? Is it that we don't give enough information? Is it that we give too much information? Is it that our teams are not as kind as they want or as gentle as they want? Are our customers difficult? You're able to now have those conversations as a team. And you see, all along the way you're writing notes, because you need to record important conversations and important preferences of your of your customers, potential customers. That is why we said you could do a notebook, you could do a spreadsheet, you could use a software. Whichever it is you pick to use at that particular point, you need to do a review. So every week, ask yourself, which leads progressed and why? Which leads are still pending and need follow-up? Which ones have gone cold? Why? And then ask yourself the general, what can I learn from the people who we progressed to customers? That is important because a business is a consistent learning curve. So if the most frequently bought product in May is the back to school pack for children, then we can begin to plan and see if we can run the same campaign in August for back to school in September. It gives you patterns. It gives you insights into where the problems in or the challenges in your system are. It shows you what is working absolutely fabulously that you must leave in place. The point is every week review your leads. Where you are, how you've progressed, what are you following, what is dead in the water, and what you can learn. Remember, in this space is all about becoming the fullness of the stature of who God has made us, which means that as leaders, we are consistently growing, both personally and business-wise. So if I cannot run this system and be this diligent and ask myself these questions, I cannot expect my teams to even bother to do the same. And that's what we must remember. We cannot expect our teams to do things we are unwilling to do. Many of us want our teams to come early, be on check, follow up all these things, and we drop the ball all the time. Can we become the ones who lead by example and are at the head of the journey? So, in conclusion, what we are actually saying is we must reflect, understand how we capture our leads, at what stage we lose most of our customers, what parts of the process rely entirely on memory. If somebody else continued serving your customers, would they know exactly what to do? We must reflect on how to improve, because as we reflect on these matters, then our communities are able to take up from us. Remember, we want to be able to build a business that can run without us. I remember a few weeks ago, somebody just wanted to remain a technician. And we said, you can hire somebody to run the business and allow you to remain a technician. But you need to have your systems in place. So beyond your lead generation systems, you can take the same thought process, apply it to your manufacturing, apply it to your product development if you're doing your service development, apply it to your delivery system. So when somebody inquires about a course, when somebody inquires about a training, what's the process you take them through? How do you close it? What are your non-negotiables? What is the direction you guide them first? So this doesn't just apply to one side of the business. This applies cross-board because remember, leads are potential customers that when we convert, generate the revenue we need to meet the targets we have already established when we're discussing our break-even point and our return on investment. So when you're able to show your team the cohesive links of doing all those things, then you are better able to push the team to become better. Sometimes what we need is teams that are better than us so that we can do the things we're actively very good at. Now, this means that we need to create and use a lead management system. Make it complex. If you're a solopreneur like many of us are, just understand my break-even point every month is 10 clients. Remember, we usually have a 10% conversion rate. So if I want 10 clients, I somehow need to be reaching out to 100. So how do I reach out to 100? Then I see, that's a lot of work. So maybe I need to engage a part-time digital marketer or a part-time sales team. But because you know where you're going, ensure that you have a log of every client you're talking to. Remember that tracking tool we've just designed and talked about? Have all that information in one place so that as you continue to grow, you can quickly decide the next action before you end the conversation and schedule the follow-up. What you're looking at doing is ensuring that at a glance, you know what you're working on, where you're at, and what is the gap. Because do not pay attention to how our businesses operate, we're in big trouble. We have to know when and where the information is documented rather than rely on our mind. And maybe the first step towards growth is really stewarding the leads we already have before we generate more. So if you've got this long list of leads you've not closed on, how about going back to that long list even before, way before you come and start saying we need to get new customers? Have you closed every lead you have had generated, created in the last 3 months? If not, go back and close them. Just go back and close them even before you come and start saying we need more customers. It may be a couple of quick calls to discover they are no longer interested. Those are now closed. Let's move to the next. Also understand that managing lead generation can be tricky, can be stressful, because quite a few people may say no, but every no is a step closer to your next yes. So let's keep at it. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep creating. Let's keep documenting so that at the end of the day, you can say in 2026, we reached out to 3,000 people, connected deeply with 1,500 and 500 bought. And of those 500, they helped us reach our break-even point, our revenue targets. If we're short, then we know that we need to increase our effort by this or decrease by this and look for a different target market who would pay more. So that then you make fewer sales, because it takes the same amount of energy to sell a thing for 1,000 bob as you need to sell a thing for 10,000 shillings. It's the same amount of energy. It is a different combination of connectors, but the energy levels are the same. So do we have questions? Do we have questions? Before we get to questions, Terence, you said that you have an existing lead management system. Tell us how you got there.
Thank you, Chesubire. Good evening, good morning, greetings to all of you. I hope you can hear me.
Very well.
Yes, for me, the lead generation system that I had was the simple one you have mentioned. I attended an event when I was re-establishing my company. So it was like a business conference. And so from that event, I took contacts, we exchanged contacts, and I was able to track, especially because I had the products. I sell kitchen equipment. Because I had the physical products, I was able to get feedback for those who bought and for those who did not buy. And so from that, I was able to reach out, especially for those who said they would buy or they're looking for something slightly different. And I just from writing, I used a book. So I wrote on a book, which I later transferred to an app on my phone called Keep Notes. It's an Android app. So Keep Notes. So from Keep Notes, I was able to create the checklist where I would check. I indicated that these are the people I interacted with. So I already have their contacts on my phone. But the checklist helped me to see what exactly they wanted. And anytime after reaching out to them, I would change the status. Maybe this one was asking about a different color or a different size of the set. I would come back and tick. I also found that the same system that I had used just as simple as it was could also be used for my online customers. There are those who I reached or those who are reached by Facebook ad, and they would just click on the conversion button or the button that I had placed, which would lead them directly to my WhatsApp, and they would ask. The default was asking for the catalog. So after I had sent the catalog, I would continue to engage with them, just trying to find out exactly what they wanted. And I would also go back to the form and indicate that this person who reached out through this platform was looking for this. And so far, here we are. It has worked, especially for those that I already had, those who had already bought, sorry, those who had already bought the products, because there are some who have been consistent even before the event and even through the event and after. But I'm still struggling with getting new leads. I think, as you said, sometimes we are very gentle. We do not ask for the buy. We hold back. And I think that has been my biggest challenge, because I've been doing it alone. And I think with that team, somebody who is better at sales than I am would be able to ask that tough question. How many pieces? Which color do you want? When can we meet? When can I send you this? So that has been my system. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Because remember, we said it's not about complexity. Now we have an example of a simple system that has actually worked and generated income for Terence. So thank you, Terence, so much for sharing. So if anybody in the session was thinking, notebook doesn't work, it does. If you saw the progression, he started with a notebook, then moved it to a digital platform, Keep Notes, right? As he grows the team, of course, he would more likely need to move it to a spreadsheet on a platform that everybody has access to. So what we are doing in each space is we are starting where we are and growing to where we want. Stephen Covey always says, begin with the end in mind. So as you do all these things, determine where are you going, what is important, and then build with that end in mind. I want to have a complete CRM that manages everything from my digitals to my email to my what, but what do I have now? As a solopreneur, what I have access to is a notebook and a spreadsheet. Use that and grow progressively. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? Have I missed any questions? Let me take the chat. No, we have no questions. If there are no more questions, allow me to hand this over to the one and only, the original, Joseph Mokoko.
Good evening, good morning, and thank you. Please confirm you can hear me, Chesubire.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you very much for that powerful session. And I was taking notes as you were talking. And Terence, thank you for just validating that. And the best way to grow is to have a system. So the business is yours. You understand your processes. You understand how you operate. Document them. This will ensure that you do not drop the customer throughout the customer journey. So thank you so much, Chesubire, for that. And thank you all of us for joining the call this evening, putting in the work. So what's next after this conversation? As always, we love your feedback. Thank you, Chesubire. Your flowers are still coming. We love your feedback. Give us feedback. That allows us to iterate. It allows us to be able to build products and services that are of benefit to you. Thank you to all of us who were able to join the QSS quarterly event, the Traction Lab. It was powerful. It was amazing. And we left with a workbook. We left with notes. We left with the wisdom from Chesubire and Dr. Liz. So grateful to all of you for having joined. So for those of us who would love to give us feedback, we enjoy feedback. Give it to us in whichever form, raw, filtered, but give us feedback. It allows us to be able to move. We have a closed WhatsApp group. I'm seeing we have a few new faces today on the call. So welcome to this space. Our community is aptly named the Circle because we believe it is the place where you and I transform each other. Together, we form the circle and we're able to go. And our mission is simple: to empower and inspire you as leaders to achieve your full potential and drive change in the communities that you serve and and also in yourself. Thank you, Christine. You're asking about our YouTube channel. We shall drop the links to our YouTube channel shortly. For our previous shows, we have 2 channels running, actually 3 channels running. So we'll drop the links in the show even as we come to the conclusion of the event. We have a couple of things happening in the community. On the 25th, we have the morning tea from about 11 to 1. Yes, we have tea.
9.
You're all welcome to join. 9.
9.
Oh, it's 9 to 1. 11. 11 is what time in Kiswahili? I think I translated in my head. Okay, good. From 9
mpaka saa 7.
Abbas, from 9 to 1 o'clock, we shall share the details with you. So feel free to join. And then we are also launching our next digital growth class on the 16th of July, the Digital Growth Blueprint. Remember, it is an ILO certified course, and we are certified to offer it to you. So early bird rates until Sunday, 12th of July, 5,000 shillings. Chesubire, we need to remember to be putting the dollar. Sindio, we need to figure out how many dollars that is. And then the standard fee is 7,500. An amazing 12 weeks of class. We graduated cohort 1 about a month and a half ago. Looking forward to onboarding cohort 2. Thank you to those who have already joined. It is an ITC ILO certified curriculum that gives you a global perspective of what is this thing we keep on talking about, the digital space, and how can I be able to grow in it? So take note of that. If you would like to purchase for your friends or purchase for your team, you could join. You could share the link with them and they'll join. We'll share the link on the chat space. We've also partnered with a group of teen moms in Ngong. Chesubire, it's Ngong, right? Called Bundles of Joy. And we are running a drive, 15th of August. And we would like to give back these teen moms hope and dignity. And we know sometimes life happens. How then can we support? It is a way of giving back and just being able to uplift them. So as AMC, we have, as AMC and Akiko, we have offered the curriculum. So we are taking them through some training to ensure they can get life skills. But more than that, they need other things. They need a few things to keep them, physical items, to keep them going. And maybe Chesubire, I could ask you to speak to it. So it's AMC, Akiko, and FI Solutions.
Yes. So this is a very personal project for Jo and I. It was launched by one of the young people we mutually know. For her 24th birthday, she decided to give back to community. and her passion is around teen moms. So there are a couple of things we're doing. On the 15th, we'll be visiting a rescue center. It's in Ngong Kibiku, just beyond Kibiku. They have 20 girls that they support directly, 20 girls who are in the community with caregivers, and then they have about another 180 children who come to the center every weekend for different activities. So that day will be providing lunch for all the children. So that will be like feeding about 200 people. And then we will be giving a pack of sanitary and cleansing products and nappies for them, every mother and child. We'll be giving food packs to the caregivers who are supported in the community. And then there's a community, there's a school near them that has 350, 400 girls, and they have asked that we raise pads for them. So there's a big general event, but there's also a specific drive to raise pads for the girls because there's a lot of period poverty in the community. So just scan the link. I'll be dropping the link in the chat just now. And the reason we want to do this is one of AMC's targets is to transform lives of people around us. And we felt that supporting this young lady as she does service to celebrate her 24th year of life, I was left thinking, what am I doing with my life? That's besides the point. But that's what we're doing. So we go there every Wednesday, spend the day with the girls, do business skills training. We started last week. We have 4 more sessions with them as we wait for the ones who are in boarding school to come back. So that's why some of them are caregivers we support, because some of these girls are in boarding. During the time, their babies are with their grandmothers and all, or an auntie or their mothers if possible. And then when they come back home, they stay with them for the holiday. Some of them are actually in schools that allow them to go with the children. So it's a really powerful project, and it's specifically supporting girls from Kajiado County because there's a lot more prevalence of teen moms in Kajiado County. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Esubere, for that. And looking forward to continue working with them. Even as we said this space is about transforming and impacting those who are around us, even as we continue to uplift them. So thank you. We'll keep you posted as we continue as we come closer to the date. And for those who are asking for the channels, I've shared the links on the chat space, and I've also shared the link. We've also shared the link for the Bundles of Joy activity for you to join and for us to work. So allow me to congratulate and say thank you to our partners who've been with us from 2023 to date. Hey, Chesubri, is it 2023 or 2024? 2024 to date, as we started programming and we were running. So AFI Solutions, China Publishers.
2023
Yes,
September.
2023 September. Wait. AFI Solutions, China Publishers, Regroup, Shala Global, the Cube Innovation Hub, Akiko Stories, Hack Innovation, Hack Integrated Services, SOA Events Institute, Aura Essentials, Thai Events, Conscious Works Consult, Zurich Consulting and Business Support Africa, for just tapping in even as we walk the journey together to transform the communities that we are living in. Allow me to also thank our muscles, our back office team, to Miss T-Bags, Mr. Kwe, Miss Mimo, Miss Felicity, Miss Julia, Miss Wamboi. Thank you so much for holding forth and staying strong even as we continue in this journey to transform the communities that we are operating in. And for all of us joining the show, some of us have joined from day one, and every Tuesday you are constantly here, and you're the fuel to this fire that enables us to go and come back every Tuesday to serve you better and stronger. So thank you so much for being in this space. We appreciate you, and we pray for blessings, showers of blessings upon your businesses and upon your enterprises and upon your work. Chesubiri, parting shot.
Measure, and start where you are. Don't look for super big things. Just start where you are.
Measure. Don't look for super big things. Start where you are. Thank you very much, Esubire, for always being kind enough to sit on the hot seat. Thank you to all of us joining from all over Africa. When we started, we were local. Now we are Africa, and sometimes we are global. We have the global audience with us. So my parting shot is the final word you gave us. Pay attention to how your business operates when information is documented rather than carried in your mind. The first step towards sustainable growth is stewarding the leads you already have, not attracting more. So let's take care of what already is in our hands, even as we expand our businesses. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Have a good evening. Have a good afternoon. See you next week on Tuesday. I remain the original Joe Mukoko. See you next week, and thank you for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Good night, good afternoon, good morning, good evening.